I can just tell you every year, the weeks leading up to August the 3rd, we all start thinking about it. We're talking about it. It does still, 7 years later, consume our memories, our mind. And I can only think, well, what does it do for the families, those 23 people that were lost on August the 3rd or the days afterward. But let's also not forget there were 22 other victims that sustained injuries. Just at UMC, we had 14 patients that came in on that Saturday. And unfortunately, we lost one that afternoon. But they were there for weeks in our hospital being cared for. Months later, that they still had life altering injuries. And then we can talk about Del Sol. They had 11 patients also. So they had to deal with these patients. But the families are going to bear these burdens for the rest of their lives. So very, very important.
Family members that died and were injured. Any message to them?
Well, we still think about you. I'm sure we still pray for you. I know the community still grieves. Yes, time moves on. People are getting older. Children are growing. But it's going to always impact El Paso. It really will.
So what do you tell any new staff? You talk to them about how to handle a situation like that, and things that the staff has learned having dealt with it.
Sure. So I was actually thinking about that this morning. Our general surgery residency program is usually 5 to 6 years. And I think this is the first year that all the residents that I had over the years that actually came in on that Saturday morning, they're all gone now. And I remember telling them back then, write write some notes down because people are going to ask you 5 years, 10 years down the line, what did you experience in El Paso on August the 3rd in 2019? What was it like for you? But I think the most important thing I tell people, and we're going to talk about it on this Thursday, is you've got to practice because events will happen. Car crash, a bus crash, plane, maybe another shooting like we got in Las Cruces last year. You've got to be ready. And one of the things I told people after August 3rd, play like you practice. And what that means is you need to make sure you are ready for the next August the 3rd. So we do disaster drills every 6 months or so, and we're going to be doing one in October. So we need to take those drills seriously. One thing I would like to reemphasize, and I said that the days after August 3rd, we had a lot of heroes that day. A lot of people stepped up to be heroes. Environmental services was a theme. And what that means, that's the men and women that came into the operating room, went to the trauma base, and cleaned up so we could receive the next patient. Those were real heroes that day, including the nurses, the respiratory therapists, the social workers. I can go on and on. So people step up to be leaders that day, and that's what we need. And so it's just so important.
Doctor, people observe this day differently throughout the community. What's one way you reflect about that day?
Um, Yesterday, I went to the chapel here and just said a quiet prayer. I did that on August the 4th. August the 3rd was crazy. I came home that night exhausted, laid on the couch. People probably don't remember, but what happened that night? I think it was in Daytona, not Daytona, Dayton, Ohio. A lot of people were killed that night. I woke up to that evening. Oh my God, another one? But then the next day, I had to come back, and I think I did 3 operations that day, and had to deal with. We had the congressman coming. We had Senator Corrin. Uh, Veronica Escobar was here, and then the press was very engaged. We also had to take care of our patients, but we also had to take care of the patients that were here for other reasons. So that day, I said, it's any good day to say a prayer. That's a good day to go see, do that. So I did that.
So kind of go through your memories.
Yeah, it still does.
How did it change your way of seeing things on August the 3rd, 2009?
Uh, Probably did not, only because unfortunately I have to deal with death and injury on a daily basis. That's my job as a trauma surgeon. So we see that on a daily basis, but just not on the magnitude that we saw that day.
So, doctor, you see a lot of this every day, right? Of saving lives, or maybe sometimes unable to save some.
Mhm.
But when you think about that day, and you hear about people saying it's 7 years now, we don't want people to forget. What can you tell the audience, the people listening, watching, about not forgetting what happened that day?
Um, think about each other. Really think about each other. I think that was very personal for everybody on August the 3rd. And the days after that, I just remember the press just kept coming. And I'm talking about BBC, CNN. Uh, they just kept coming. And people said, we're tired of talking to them. And I said, you need to tell the story. Because if you don't tell the story, the narrative will change by others. So even though we're tired of that, we're exhausted, even on August the 7th, remember what happened on August the 7th? President Trump came. And a lot of people did not want him coming here. But I told my guys, I said, we're not Democrats or Republicans. He's our president. It's a good thing that he's coming. And in his defense, I thought he did an incredible job that day. He was supposed to be here for 30 minutes, but typical Trump, he went on and on and on. He was here for 3 hours, I think. But it really uplifted the spirits of people, including the medical staff and the hospital staff. So we just got to take care of each other.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, Doctor?
Uh, no, other than I was looking today. We're doing something in Texas called pre-hospital whole blood, which is a new thing by giving blood to patients. And I looked back to see how much blood we transfused just at UMC. We gave 59 units of packed cells, 39 units of plasma, and some other stuff. And I was thinking, what would it have been like if we had whole blood back then? Because we did not, and it's a game changer. So that's something we should probably talk about some other time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
April Sinclair. She was a nurse that was here at UMC on August 3rd, 7 years ago. April, first of all, I want to say thank you for what you did that day. My mom's a nurse. She is not in the trauma, but I can't imagine what must have been going through your mind and what you do every day,
Yes.
as a trauma nurse. It's incredibly difficult. I incredibly respect it. So, April, can you just give us a recount of what happened that day when you finally found out, okay, these patients are coming in? What happened that day?
Yeah, so I was actually attending a friend's baby shower that morning, and there were several of us nurse friends that were attending this baby shower.
So you weren't even at work.
So I wasn't at work. I wasn't at work. We were attending the baby showers that Saturday morning, and all of a sudden, we start getting these alerts on our phone. There's a shooter, active shooter present. So everybody's phones just start going off. I look at my phone, and I knew I had to just leave. I had to, go
You're giving me
home.
chills.
I had to go home, make sure that my family was okay.
Yeah.
I changed right away. I literally sped over here. And I walked in actually through the ambulance bay. I walked in through those doors, and just walking in, you felt the emotion of that day, the chaos that was happening in the ER, people screaming, yelling, and it was a day like another,
Yeah.
no other day.
Yeah.
And to witness the organized chaos that we have been prepared for, that we do day to day here in taking care of this caliber of patients, it it was there was no words.
How was it different? Because like you said, you get patients like this every day.
Mhm.
How was that day different? Was it because there was more people? Was there more panic? How was it?
I think we have been prepared for mass casualty incidents, but I think it was because of the fear of the unknown. We still didn't know full details that day of what was going on. Has this suspect been captured? Are there still people coming in
Yeah.
with other injuries?
Yeah.
So it was just the unknown that
Yeah.
was the scary part of that day,
Yeah.
and just knowing that this was actually happening in our community.
Exactly. That so much hate
Mm-hmm.
geared at our
Yeah.
predominantly
Yes.
Hispanic community, right? So, it's been 7 years since that incident, and when the time starts to come, for some people it's a lot of anxiety. For
Mhm.
some people it's maybe unifying.
Hmm.
What is this time of the year? How do you feel around this time of the year?
Just looking at the date itself, August 3rd, and it's like when you see somebody's birthday, oh, it's their birthday. However, August 3rd marks a day of tragedy. that happened in El Paso that has never happened to us before. And you take the day in differently. You take in what has happened in our community different.
Yeah.
And as being a nurse, you know, and having been there that day, it's a feeling, it's a moment, it's a memory that I will never shake off. And it did take me a little bit, a while, you know, to feel okay
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. You
And
didn't do therapy or anything after
I
that?
I
girl?
didn't.
No.
I didn't.
Did
You
you-
know,
it's
it was
just what
just
you- was-
kind of, you know, it's as a
Yeah.
nurse you learn
Yeah.
to as a nurse you learn to cope.
Part of the territory.
Yes, yeah.
So, you know, again, August 7th, I mean, August 3rd, it's the 7 years. And we don't want to just relive the bad things, right? One of
Right.
my favorite phrases from Mr. Rogers is look for the helpers. In times of
Mhm.
bad, look for the helpers. And I remember that phrase coming out a lot
Mhm.
on August
Mhm.
3rd, 7 years ago. So on this day, it's important to not forget
Right.
those 23 people. So what do you have to tell the people watching, the people listening about making sure that their memory lives on? I know it's kind of a heavy question
It
for you,
is.
girl, but I just want
But
you,
it's
you
something
personally.
it's something that I think still has to be remembered in El Paso, and it still has to be respected. We lost 23 lives that day. We treated countless others as well for injuries, and it's a day of remembrance. And I think we should still have to look out for one another, be that helping hand, be that good Samaritan. If you feel something is not right, say something.
Yeah.
And I think, to put it safely, you know, we've been a resilient city.
Yeah.
We've been a resilient city this whole time, and it's something that we should continue to do.
Well, it's
moving
thanks
on.
to nurses like you, April. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
But
for what you do.
I had a
on
great
the
team
daily.
that day. It was a historical team effort that day.
That's a
It
good
was
nurse.
doctors, nurses, EVS, everybody was just all in that day.
Work. Thank you.
Yes.